Hello and welcome to the Morning Bulletin. I am your host, Emmet Gates, and I am joined today by Andrew Beasley. And today we're going to take a look at the Champions League draw, which will be happening tomorrow, but we're going to assess Liverpool's options in the quarterfinal draw. Andrew, all the ties, the round of 16 ties are all complete now. And what were your thoughts on the round of 16 itself, and who would you like Liverpool to face in tomorrow's draw?
Well, I suppose the standout result was probably last night, Villarreal winning 3-0 at Juventus. I don't think anyone would have seen that one coming. So they've obviously done really well there. And you'd have to think that either them or Benfica would be the teams that everyone else is hoping to draw. But a bit of a surprise as well that Benfica got past Ajax, I think, but obviously not on the same scale as Juventus. But as we've seen in the past, Juventus have this habit, it seems, of going out against teams you wouldn't expect them to. I believe it was Lyon and Porto the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So perhaps we shouldn't be surprised. But even so, 3-0 win away Juventus is still a stunning result, no matter what. So clearly they're the teams that everyone's going to want to get, and I wouldn't be disappointed if Liverpool were drawn out with either of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, looking at the draw, we've got three English sides: Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. Three Spanish: Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Villarreal, Benfica, and is there someone I'm missing? No,
Bayern.
that's it. Bayern, yes, of course, Bayern.
Yeah.
So, out of those seven, who would you obviously? We have to say it. It's Villarreal or Benfica. Most teams would ideally like to get, but who would you want to avoid in the quarterfinal?
Yeah, I mean, any of those other five teams are obviously going to present their own challenges. I think Atletico Madrid, you might think of the sort of one you'd perhaps like next, but obviously Liverpool know all too well from the past how difficult it is to put them out. I mean, obviously, Liverpool are a better team than Manchester United at the moment, but I mean, Atletico Madrid, they got rid of Man United easily enough. So, Liverpool wouldn't want to face them, even if they might be the next best, you might think. I mean, obviously, the thing with this is that the matches are either side of the league game with Manchester City. So if Liverpool were to draw them and have to play them 3 times in a week, I mean, I don't think anybody could take that, could they, to be honest? But obviously that's a possibility, although obviously Liverpool fans will tell you it's not a possibility because Man City only get easy draws. So perhaps that won't happen.
Man City will get Sporting again. They'll just be back in the draw.
Yeah, exactly. Sporting or Rotherham or someone like that. Someone they should be expected to get past. Yeah, but it's hard to say. I think. The ideal draw for Liverpool, I think, is almost not who they get, but who the other teams get could be sort of more interesting. Like, obviously, the fans of the 3 English teams are going to hope that the other 2 English teams draw each other in whatever combination that happens to be. I think would be ideal from their point of view. But I think it would be interesting to play Bayern again. Certainly, not easy, clearly, but. They'll probably feel they owe Liverpool one for what happened in 2019. And there's always, Klopp coming up against a German team, sort of narrative writes itself, really, that sort of thing. But I don't know. Do you have any sort of preference beyond the obvious 2?
I mean, the thing with Atletico is you would probably look at it and say Atletico is probably like, they'd be the 3rd weakest team after Villarreal and Benfica. But Atletico are just one of the, obviously, Liverpool have experience. Obviously, was it 2020? It was 2 years ago that they put Liverpool with the reigning European champions. Atletico put them out just before the pandemic. Yeah. So, I mean, but they are such a difficult side to face. And, their levels of skullduggery, shall we say, against United was just, was world-class levels of just doing what it took to get the result over the line, and they will stifle Liverpool. Both games will not be easy, even though Atletico themselves aren't maybe what they were 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Like they will make life as difficult for Liverpool as possible. So it's kind of like, in some respects, like you'd maybe want Real Madrid, because Real Madrid at least would try to take the game to Liverpool, which would open up space in behind. But Atletico don't play like that. They will play for a 1-0, a 1-1, whatever. So I'm kind of torn in between who would you want out of the Madrid two. It was like the third next favourable option. Obviously, you'd want to avoid City and probably Bayern. I'd maybe put Chelsea in the middle there. You know, obviously Chelsea with all their circumstances going on, then maybe the mindset's not in the ideal place. So if I had to do it in order, I would maybe go, say, Villarreal, Benfica, Real Madrid, Atletico, Chelsea, Bayern, City would probably be the way I would want it. But yeah, I think as long as Liverpool avoid City, you know, and then as you say, you would maybe want City against Chelsea or City against Bayern, or, you know, then obviously maybe Liverpool will get a favourable semi-final draw and then it will be into the final, hopefully.
Not that we're getting ahead of ourselves or anything.
Yeah,
but you know,
not that we're thinking too far ahead down the line.
But I think you're right. You raised sort of an interesting point. Like, you sort of assume that Liverpool wouldn't want to face Chelsea, and clearly there are better options. But I think they'd be favourites, certainly, if they were up against Chelsea. I mean, you think back sort of recent history, Chelsea haven't beaten Liverpool that many times. They won at Anfield last season behind closed doors when Liverpool were in the worst sort of injury crisis they've ever had. And clearly, I'm not dismissing that Chelsea could knock Liverpool out. Of course they could. But they actually don't have a particularly good record against Liverpool in recent years. And as we know, all the off-field stuff, I mean, you know, the next round of the Champions League being 3 or 4 weeks away, whatever it is. I mean, who knows what the situation will be at Chelsea when the tie takes place. So, clearly you wouldn't be delighted to draw them, but I think Liverpool would be confident of going through if they got them. Yeah.
I mean, I don't, Liverpool, Chelsea's early season form has massively tailed off, and Liverpool just seem to be getting better and better as the season goes on. So yeah, you would, even without the outside stuff happening around Chelsea, you probably would still put Liverpool favourites regardless, you know. But I think, yeah, as you kind of mentioned, drawing City would be a nightmare considering that they play them in the league. So it'd be, 3 games in a week or 10 days. It would be reminiscent of that season when Real Madrid and Barcelona played 4 games in 18 days and it was civil war almost.
Yeah.
It would be reminiscent of that.
Yeah, not that the teams were at the same level, but I think it happened in 2008. Liverpool played Arsenal in the Champions League quarterfinals, classic second leg at Anfield. But they had a league game in between that as well, which was a pretty boring, I think it was a 1-1 draw, possibly, something like that. But so that sort of thing does happen. But yeah, clearly if it was Liverpool and City now, it'd be more like that sort of Barcelona, Madrid one that you mentioned. And I guess obviously the FA Cup semi-final is around then as well. So I mean, they could play Man City theoretically 4 times in very quick succession, which is probably good for coming up with sort of content and ideas and things like that. But not so good for your heart rate and your health or whatever of those 4 games in quick succession.
Yeah, I don't think the Liverpool fan base could handle 4 games against City in 15, 16 days.
No, but neither could the City fans. It's just this. You often hear about, rent-free, always thinking about them. But the 2 teams will always be thinking about each other, and the fans especially, because whilst I don't think Liverpool will win a quadruple, it remains a definite possibility. But equally, City could win the 3 remaining trophies, and nobody would be that surprised. So I mean, it's a strange rivalry, but it could easily hot up in the next round of the Champions League.
Yeah. Well, so I'll put a question to you, Andrew. If you had a choice between giving up the Champions League to win the league in the manner that Liverpool have done it with the 14-point swing, would you take it, or would you rather go for the Champions League?
If I could only have one, and wouldn't it be nice to be able to definitely have one? But if I could only have one, you take the league, because it'd just be the most incredible story, and take the league and hope someone else knocks City out somewhere along the way. But no, I mean, it would be as great as the Champions League is, and it'd be brilliant if Liverpool won it again. If they win the league this season, it would be one of the most incredible achievements they've had and the run they'll have had to have gone on to do it, it would just be amazing. So I'll take the Premier League.
Yeah, I think if you were taking it from zero, you would be torn. But the manner in which Liverpool have fought back, and if they did overturn it, like, it would be historic. It would be an historical achievement. So that's why you kind of go with the Premier League, just because of the manner of the comeback. So going back to the Champions League, who does your gut tell you that Liverpool will end up being drawn out against on Friday?
I think no reason really, but I think it might be one of the Madrid teams. It just sort of feels like, I want to call it a trilogy, but obviously, like we said earlier, Atleti knocked Liverpool out in 2020, Real Madrid knocked Liverpool out in 21, so it feels like Liverpool have to knock one of them out in 22 maybe. So without wanting to pick either, maybe one of the Madrid teams. As long as we get the second leg at home, I wouldn't mind that too much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure many would take that. That'll do us for another edition of the Morning Bulletin. Be sure to check out Liverpool.com for all the latest features, opinions, and news. And that's it for now.